All right. Hello there. We are waiting for Linda's rebroadcast to start. This is not even an actual broadcast, but that's fine because it's Linda. We enjoy Linda around here. So I'm assuming that this is going to be about the meeting that Eisenhower allegedly had with the E.T.s, where he allowed them to mutilate animals because she's really into the animal mutilation. Like, that's where her career supposedly got started. So, oh, here we go. Ooh, this is a different intro. She doesn't usually have this intro, does she? Oh, she's using like one of the what's it called? Premiere whatever things. Well, that's a little annoying. Okay. 40 seconds. This is gonna be awkward. Let me turn this down a little bit. It's really loud. I mean, I guess her show is called Earthfiles. This is Earth. These are pictures of Earth. It is the file of Earth. Oh, okay, here we go. Yay! It's getting started. Oh, it's not actually getting started. At all. Not even a little bit. Thanks, Linda. Cool. This is Linda's actual countdown usually. I don't know why she was... I guess maybe when you do the live premiere thing, maybe I've never done one, so I guess maybe it makes you choose one of those things, possibly. Here's another 40-second countdown for us to live through. The picture... Oh, it's cutting off the top of her head. Let me adjust this so that you can actually see everything. There we go. All right, Linda, let's do this. I wanna hear more about the E.T.s and Eisenhower, because Eisenhower seemed like a decent president. I took U.S. history in high school, but and I think my DBQ question on the AP was about the Eisenhower highway system.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Linda. Oh, now she's quiet.
I've got chocolate with me tonight. And we broke
is that chocolate?
212,000 subscribers this week. Thank you all so much. Feel that digital hug from me.
Oh,
tonight, I have an update from my aerospace source about what happened to his Gmail and Proton Mail on June 9th that disconnected us. He was working in his private Gmail when a message with attachment popped in. He clicked on it, and immediately this green 4chan text popped in referencing OPRP and the dangers of time manipulation. Simultaneously, his Proton Mail would not open. Proton Tech Support tried to help.
Okay, hold on, I'm pausing this. The majority of programs find technological explanations for unexplained paranormal phenomenon. Blah, blah, blah. We see a 300-foot wide walnut-shaped craft doing Mach 20. Then we try to figure out how to make our own Mach 20 walnut. No magic here. Okay, I don't even know what this is about.
Quote, account scheduled for deletion, close quote. Today, in a new Proton Mail, he said, quote, I am still perplexed.
Why is he getting a post from 4chan that doesn't seem to be directly related to, anything? Are they telling him that he should be using 4chan instead of Proton Mail?
About why this cryptic screen grab was sent to me.
Should I start a Proton Mail to associate with this channel so that I can email Linda?
Never heard of 4chan before, close quote. Well, neither had I. I had never seen 4chan
Linda,
before.
When is this episode from? You've never heard of 4chan?
4chan is a UK website begun in 2003 to be wholly anonymous.
Girl, get with it.
Earthfiles viewer Stefan Y. found that OPRP, quote, is a method of developing risk forecasting and early warning and a prerequisite program responsible for controlling a significant hazard, close quote. Associated with these three titles are Operational Prerequisite Program, Open Protocol Resource Project, Outbreak Prevention and Response Plan, close quote. Okay. In this case, the significant hazard discussed was time manipulation and control technology. So what were those closing words? Blue Eisenhower November signaling. When I searched them,
I'm so confused.
Signaling.
Okay. Blah, blah, blah. This thread is now compromised Blue Eisenhower November. But he said he didn't know about 4chan, so why was this in his email? This is so confusing.
When I searched them, I found this Eisenhower Blues record label, copyright April 1954, by J.B. Lenore for an album entitled The Mojo, when Eisenhower had been president for only about a year. The music video entitled Blue Eisenhower November that I showed you last week was licensed in 2001 by Believe Music and featured the 1954 voice track of Eisenhower Blues. It was found by Earthfiles viewers Gina and Stefan Y.
And
we assumed the Ike and alien image was photoshopped. But why was it in the Blue Eisenhower November music video?
I don't know, y'all are just...
Here is the photoshopped image of President Eisenhower on the right and a gray type E.T. on the left. And here is the original photograph of Eisenhower shaking hands with Richard Nixon that we found in the Bridgman Art Culture History website. But here it is flipped. So Ike is on the right, where Nixon was, and then for the 2001 music video Blue Eisenhower November, produced by Believe Music, Nixon and plane and sky are turned black, and the gray humanoid superimposed
this
on
is
the
a
left.
Photoshop.
So Blue Eisenhower November is like a clue in a game where the original evidence and facts are buried so deep in the black layers of government secrets that nothing is ever officially, publicly announced. That's why I talked last week about the CIA allegedly having a long-time agreement with the National Enquirer to put real or photoshopped images on its never-trusted pages, so readers can...
I mean, that's catch and kill. We know about that. Our current president was very involved in it. But I don't, I mean, sure, I could believe that the CIA would do that.
Be conditioned about controversial UFO and ET news without shock.
I mean, I don't know why they would bother to do it for UFOs. There have been rumors
since 1954 that President Eisenhower met E.T.s, either Greys or Nordics or both, and maybe even signed a treaty for the United States to stop exploding atomic bombs in exchange for advanced alien technology.
I don't think we did.
And perhaps some access to animals and humans.
Okay, so just to say, the story that I've heard in various places, I think probably some from Linda, but also from other UFO type people, is that Eisenhower met with the Greys and gave them the right to mutilate animals for some reason. And then the Nordics met with him and told him that they would give us space travel if he stopped using nuclear weapons, but he said no. So that's what I know.
News bits can be found, such as this 1982 quote, Presidential X-Files, Ike and the Aliens in February of 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower took a trip to Palm Springs, California for what was officially said to be a winter holiday, close quote. And here is a 1982 UK headline, quote,
From
the
what?
incredible story they tried to hide for 28 years.
An outlet or just
Ike
a generic
met
title?
Space aliens, close quote. They are talking about the February 1954 rumor that President Eisenhower made a trip to Palm Springs, California to go to Edwards Air Force Base, 99 miles to the northwest to meet with one or more...
couldn't he just, like, go to Edwards Air Force Base? I don't think it's suspicious for the president to go to an Air Force base, right?
Or alien beings, an event allegedly covered by a trip to a dentist for a cracked tooth.
Why did they just make up all this?
Perspective, I called Paul Blake Smith, who was born and raised in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and he was exposed to rumors that a UFO...
Oh, wait, who is this guy? He was born in Missouri, so it's not like he was in LA at the time, necessarily. So who is this guy? He was exposed to rumors? We're talking to this guy because he was exposed to rumors.
Bodies was retrieved near his hometown in the spring of 1941.
He was exposed to rumors that cloned bodies were
6 years ago in 2016.
Clones aren't even necessarily aliens.
Paul released his research in this book, Mo 41, The Bombshell Before Roswell, where he presents his case for a UFO crash and retrieval near Cape Girardeau before the U.S. entered World War II, and 6 years before the world would hear about flying disc crashes near Roswell, New Mexico.
Well, let's not forget the Magenta crash in Italy. I mean, come on, Linda. In 1933 or something.
Paul's website is www.mo41.info. Mo standing for Missouri, and 41 for 1941.
Okay, so he was born somewhere in Missouri where there were rumors about alien bodies.
To the rumors of President Eisenhower meeting one or more extraterrestrial beings at Edwards Air Force Base on February 19, 1954. In November 2020, he released President Eisenhower's Close Encounters, an investigation into Eisenhower's secret agreement with extraterrestrials, published by FoundationBooks.net, to good reviews on Amazon.
This cover is better.
Paul is also the author of JFK and the Willard Hotel Plot, released in 2018, that has new information about the Kennedy assassination.
Sure.
All of Paul's books can be purchased in paperback or digital from Amazon.com.
Do you think people pay her for exposure like this on her show? Like, do you think that's possible? Because honestly, probably wouldn't be that expensive, and also, like, you probably could sell some books.
An audiobook version of his President Eisenhower book is also available at tantormedia.com.
Why are these things available at so many random websites?
This past weekend, I asked Paul what he thinks is the strongest evidence that President Eisenhower met with one or more aliens in 1954 at Edwards Air Force Base near Palm Springs, California. And did he sign a treaty with Greys, with Nordics, both, or something else?
Well, I believe that the many stories
this guy looks so goofy
that I have gathered for my book is a true story.
He has a goofy voice
that President Eisenhower traveled to Edwards Air Force Base late at night to meet in a prearranged meeting with extraterrestrials.
What's your best evidence?
And it's something that's been hit upon by a UFO writer and investigator named Cristoforo Barbato, who has worked in Rome, Italy, and he's written many articles and has spoken at UFO conventions, and even got to meet
Cristoforo Barbato
before he passed away in the late 1990s. Well, Mr. Barbato began receiving information in emails from a mysterious source.
From a mysterious source, some rando.
One that this man began to tell him, I work in the Vatican, and have I got a secret for you?
Oh, is this about Magenta?
The Vatican learned in 1954 that President Eisenhower met with some friendly human-like extraterrestrials.
Okay, why would the
at
Vatican
Edwards
know?
Air
I mean,
Force
sure,
Base.
they know everything, I guess.
In my book, I say, Mr. Barbato received this sensitive information
is this
from
our
a Jesuit priest who was working inside.
Is this our best evidence for the meeting with Eisenhower? That this random guy got emails from another anonymous random guy who said he was a Jesuit priest who said that the Vatican knew about this. That's our best evidence. Okay, just checking.
The Vatican. Much of the resulting shocking data accumulated led to Barbato putting together a controversial 2006 article and book called The Omega Secret, highlighting the lowdown from those high up in the Vatican. The unnamed source supposedly told Chris that it was his understanding that Cardinal James Francis McIntyre of California did indeed go to Edwards Air Force Base and witness extraterrestrial beings himself, apparently alongside President
random cardinal was there with
February
Eisenhower.
19th, 1954.
Eisenhower wasn't a Catholic.
Francis McIntyre
so why was this guy
so
there?
Moved by this dramatic experience, he quickly flew to Rome, Italy, despite being warned not to tell anyone.
Why was he invited?
Pope Pius XII, who died in 1958. He briefed the Pope about the shocking E.T. situation and being sworn to secrecy.
Is this why the Catholics are so much more chill about extraterrestrials than like any other Christian denomination? Because the Catholics are surprisingly like really not upset by the idea of E.T.s, whereas it seems like everyone else is running around saying that they have to be demons, or otherwise their whole worldview is going to be destroyed. But the Catholics are like, no, aliens are fine. We're cool with aliens.
In fact, along the way, McIntyre was warned by nervous U.S. government officials to keep his mouth shut, but ultimately
But he just didn't, and they just let him go?
According to Barbato's information, the cardinal was part of a delegation with the president in a prearranged landing event, a kind of welcoming committee.
Well, like, why would you invite a Catholic priest if you didn't want the Catholic Church to know? Why was the Catholic priest even there?
Waiting patiently, perhaps even for days, waiting for the aliens to show up. As promised, they did so. And the president was called and advised to come on
which
in.
aliens?
They were friendly, and he did so.
In that meeting with Cardinal Francis McIntyre that was described in the Omega Secret, that meeting was at Edwards Air Force Base. It was with President Eisenhower. The date was February 19th, 1954. Cardinal Francis McIntyre was there. The Pope's Secret Information Department, known as SIV, was there.
Cardinal
McIntyre,
like, they invited the Pope's Secret Service or his intelligence service and this cardinal to come to this meeting with the aliens, but then they were like, don't tell the Pope, though. I feel like the Pope, if you invite the Pope's intelligence service, like, the Pope is going to know. The whole point of having an intelligence service for the Pope is that they tell the Pope things.
Or Barbato, did they talk ever in any book or speech about the details of what occurred in that meeting?
Probably not.
I'm not sure if Mr. Barbato got a lot of details from that meeting from his source, who
is a random person who emailed him.
However, we can look at a letter typed up by Mr. Gerald Light, who said he was asked to go to Edwards Air Force Base with 3 other people. One of them was Cardinal Francis McIntyre, and that they did see Air Force officials interacting with extraterrestrial beings. It was a very famous letter. And
so this Gerald Light, President Eisenhower was spirited over to Morocco, where I guess maybe that's somewhere during his visit to Palm Springs. This is saying that I guess they were expecting Eisenhower to officially announce this does not say what it was. I guess they're implying that it's aliens.
Online. It was dated in like April 11th, 12th or so of 1954, and it seemed as though there was a second landing, and that Mr. Light was present. He went there with James Francis McIntyre. And there seems to be some confusion as to whether McIntyre was at the initial landing in February on the 19th and a second landing in April. But it could be that he was at both. And so this explains more why McIntyre's name keeps coming up, and he's the source for Christopher Barbato's Vatican Insider and files that he was allowed to read.
Who all was there, starting with date, time, and place?
Okay, this happened probably after 10 o'clock p.m. on the Friday night, February 19th, 1954. Eisenhower took a flight, not on Air Force One, but on a different airplane out to the desert, and he may have landed near Edwards Air Force Base and was driven from Palmdale with 6 bodyguards. I just call them the Secret Six because they were never identified. But according to a United States Air Force test pilot who was allowed to be present, the 6 surrounded President Eisenhower at all times, and no one touched the aliens, but the aliens spoke in English, were quite aware of our customs and culture, and knew that we were engaging in a rather reckless atomic bomb testing program.
I think it's really interesting and kind of, and fair enough that the alien people really hate nuclear weapons, which, again, fair.
We tried to talk Eisenhower out of detonating atomic bombs that were polluting the land, the sea, the air, and even sending contamination into what we would call outer space. So that these were those present. And
so they care because
who spoke up around 1982, the aliens were very human-like, but just a little bit different. What I would call cousins of human beings.
Just a little bit different.
That they are the Nordic type with the blonde hair, blue eyes, and white skin.
A source says that when he returned
What source?
to the Vatican,
Which one?
James Francis McIntyre took Archbishop Edward Mooney of Detroit with him to confer with the Pope, and they were given top-secret information and receiving it back from the leaders of the Vatican. But things took an unexpected turn when McIntyre and other members of this Vatican Secret Service, is what they say it essentially was, the SIV, began to have direct contact with the knowledge of the military of an alien race of Nordic-type beings from another world. They were apparently benevolent and came from the Pleiades. It says these aliens were advised to be careful with the other creatures encountered by the Americans and President Eisenhower in the California desert. And that these meetings with the members of the SIV, in other words, E.T. human contact, happened many times in the United States and twice inside the Vatican Gardens near the Pontifical
Inside the Vatican
Academy
Gardens.
and in the presence of Pope Pius XII.
And you're quoting from...
Why is this guy's picture so goofy looking?
Discussing the Omega Secret.
If the Tall Whites and the Nordics were actively trying to keep the United States from doing anything with nuclear missiles, and perhaps the same with Russia and other places, why was the 1945 July test at the Trinity site in White Sands allowed, and why following that were Nagasaki and Hiroshima?
Why were we able to do atomic bombs in general?
The same E.T.s warning the United States and others that they can't use these nuclear weapons because they're tearing into dimensions we know nothing about, and yet they did not stop the test or Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Apparently they will give us free reign, free will to do as we wish. Whether they would step in at the point of World War III and total destruction of the planet, I don't know. I would sure hope so, and we seem to be getting closer to that every day.
So they just asked nicely, and we were just nah, and they were okay.
But I don't have any personal sources of that nature who have told me. I think when Eisenhower met with extraterrestrials and formed a treaty that he signed on that night or in the months to come,
I hope it was in the months to come. I feel like a treaty with aliens? Yeah, you should probably take some time thinking about that one.
Trying to protect America from being disrupted by having extraterrestrials show up here.
Well, I thought the aliens would let us do whatever we wanted.
Or landing or stepping forward and trying to speak to people. They thought it would just be utter chaos, that it would disrupt the stock market, stock would crash, and that the economy would go downhill and people would quit school.
I feel like this is like the biggest misconception that the alien people have about this whole thing. It's like, I mean, I guess like if it was like Independence Day and aliens came and they destroyed the White House or something, like that would freak people out. People would be freaked out. But if it's just like the aliens are coming down and they are like, hey guys, oh my goodness, sorry. Anyway, if the aliens are just coming down and they are like, hey guys, we're not going to interfere with you, but we just wanted to come say hi, then everyone has other problems, honestly. I don't know what it would actually do to people's daily lives. Probably nothing.
Eisenhower had every reason to ask these beings to please stay aloof and don't show yourself. I'm looking at Christopher Barbato's information. He said, my insider said the meeting was filmed by the U.S. military with three 16-millimeter cameras placed at different points, loaded with color film and spring drive motors, and that each camera operator had to change this film every 3 minutes in the presence of the aliens because the electric motors did not work right. The technology clashed. But in total, they shot 20 minutes of film in 7 rolls, each of them 30 meters in length. Now, that's awfully detailed information to just dismiss and say, well, that's just a crackpot.
Dude, like, that shows me that maybe this guy knows something about those kinds of old-fashioned film cameras and how they work or how they can get messed up or something. That does not tell me that he knows anything about aliens, just that he could say some very detailed things about film cameras. Like, those two things are not the same.
Making this up. Christopher Barbato
maybe he's basing that part on an experience. That doesn't mean there were aliens there.
With this Vatican insider who knew about the Eisenhower encounter, he felt it's quite valid and real and that the world should know, because his source within the Vatican said the world should know. So that's something to ponder. We have to be careful of misinformation and disinformation, but it's interesting. I've been reading in the last few weeks that the Vatican is currently bringing in different religious sources, religious figures, and asking them, what would be your reaction if we went public that we are being visited by extraterrestrials? Of all the subjects in the world, this is what they're gathering religious leaders.
I mean, again, Catholics are chill with aliens, and they are quite interested in them.
We have known that is the truth since World War II. We're not alone in this universe.
Right, but the Vatican might want to be a leader, possibly, in revealing this, going public and saying, yes, we are being visited.
Yeah, probably.
What is your reaction? Are you going to...
There's a really fantastic book called The Sparrow, which I feel like I've talked about before, but it's basically about, like, the first, like, basically we find, like, a signal from aliens, and so we know where they are, where it's coming from, and so the Catholic Church, like, funds the mission to go meet the aliens, because... yeah, they want to go there and I guess theoretically talk to the aliens about Jesus. I don't know.
Have your faith shaken, and will your congregation or the people that you represent in your part of the world, in your faith, are they going to be shaken or are they going to be excited and pleased? They need to gauge reaction to this. And so I think we could be getting closer to maybe not counting on our federal government to make such an announcement, but possibly from the Vatican, maybe from the Pope himself.
Paul, why didn't they announce back in February of 1954, we're not alone, we have the Vatican, we have the President of the United States, others, and we're going to have a meeting, and we're going to tell the whole world, and we're going to move into the new age of space. Why didn't that happen?
I think that Eisenhower was surrounded by those like-minded, very buttoned-down minds of his administration, and they felt it's for the best that we keep this under wraps and study it. The Gerald Light letter mentions I heard Eisenhower is preparing a delivery for broadcast in the middle of May, that there would be some kind of announcement, but he's getting a lot of
some other kind of
from
announcement?
His people around him,
the
so-called higher-ups in the government and military, saying this was not a good idea.
Why? Why was it not a good idea?
I think they really felt it would just blow people's minds and frighten them, that people would run away from home or quit their jobs or disrupt society.
Again, what do the aliens have to do with me? If the aliens, it's like one thing if we think the aliens are going to destroy everything, then yeah, cool. But if the aliens are just like, hey, aliens exist out in space, that really doesn't change most people's day-to-day lives. It just doesn't, I'm still going to have to pay my rent. I'm still going to have to drop my kids off at school. Aliens or not, life is going to go on unless the aliens are here to kill us all or take over society. In fact, aliens, if you are listening, I propose that maybe you come here and take over society. We're not doing that well.
Economy, and that this would have a very negative effect on American life. The people in charge thinking
with the economy as irrational as it is, I'm sure the stock market would freaking love the aliens. They would find some way that the aliens are going to make AI, general intelligence, happen faster or something.
American people like we're a bunch of children, but I think that was the mindset back then, especially based on the reaction to the 1938 War of the Worlds radio broadcast by Orson Welles, in which some people did panic, thinking that we were being invaded by aliens.
Well, yeah, that's like if the aliens are coming to kill us all.
That was probably a major factor.
But that was 1938, right. And we're talking about a meeting with Cardinal McIntyre in 1954, and this was after the war. It seems that if Eisenhower was of a mind that he could sign a treaty with beings that looked very much like humans, and they were the Nordics, that would have been all the reason that they would need to tell the whole world.
You would think so, but I believe national security people involved convinced him, let's not do this. And in looking through information
what about all those
for
film
my
camera operators? What
Nixon
happened to them?
Jackie Gleason, I found that one of the national security advisors with Dwight Eisenhower just before he left for Edwards Air Force Base, and just after he came back, was a man named Everett Gleason, who was born in Brooklyn about 10 years before Jackie. And I'm wondering where Jackie Gleason got his information. He had a lot of sources. He was obsessed with UFOs and E.T.s.
Jackie Gleason? Wasn't Jackie Gleason on the Honeymooners?
UFO house just outside New York City. So I believe Everett Gleason may have been a source, whether he was related to Jackie or not.
Okay, I feel like you could find out if they were related. Before you just make stuff up.
Longer and not tell anyone. And of course, longer became longer into the Kennedy and Johnson administrations, and just tell people there's nothing to this. We're not being visited. Anyone who says they see a UFO must be crazy. That was easier to do than admit the truth and possibly trigger some sort of imagined panic.
Again, I just feel like you all don't have a real assessment of how people would act.
And I wanted to share with you tonight, it is comments from the source, and I have received it in just the last couple of days now that we are reconnected in Proton Mail.
Oh, okay. Her source that got taken out by
he didn't know anything
Proton
about
Mail
what I was going to present tonight, and I find that what he shared with me is so valuable to what I produce for you tonight. So this is quoting from the source, who had the very strange
random person who
he still
emailed
doesn't
her
understand the insertion of the 4chan, but he now has contributed this for me to share.
Yeah, I don't know what that 4chan thread was about
One
either.
thing I wanted to revisit with you is the Nordic species.
Mm-hmm.
Nordics are more concerned about keeping the peace in our local stellar neighborhood. What I mean is that they are more of a military type group, but not in the way you would picture soldiers in uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
The Nordics and the tall, pale whites have had a very long working relationship. Those two groups are responsible for the exploration and managing
the tall whites and the Nordics
stellar neighborhood of approximately 200 light years out from Earth's orbit. Draw a circle out 200 light years. That would be what he is calling the stellar neighborhood. The tall pales and whites are more responsible for injecting into our society spiritual concepts, empathy, and especially family structure, medicines, and technology.
That's very
broad. At different times during our evolutionary tract here on Earth, as we grew and matured as our own self-realized species of Homo sapien. Nordics will oversee certain operations and will often act as a type of police.
Man, you can really tell Linda anything and she will
repeat it. And just monitor this region of space that we are currently in. The Nordics make sure newly developing planetary original species, referred to as first world groups, have the best possible chance at evolutionary development. And in DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency reports that I have read, the Nordics seem to be the guardians of sorts over first world groups and are truly engaged in watching over developing off-world species and societies. I was once told by a DIA analyst that the Nordics have kept and still keep us protected from outside hostilities.
Okay.
And when I asked to explain that to me a little better, he simply said that the Nordics, the tall pales or whites, and the original grays, the ancient grays, not the clone ones, not the robotic AI ones.
Okay, they're clone grays and they're robotic AI grays. That I did not know. There's a lot of grays.
Grays have been working together for millennia, helping new civilizations develop their evolutionary biology throughout their timeline.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sharing that with you because in reading it, I feel better.
Like a little fuzzy cat.
I feel that what Lynn Buchanan told me years ago from the remote viewing that they had remote viewed when they were doing Project Stargate, and that there were friendlies, neutrals, and hostiles, and that the more I have learned, the more sources I have had, I am convinced that there are these species, the Nordics, the tall whites, and others, who have a vested interest in us, and in this very revolutionary time on the Earth, where it feels like every day, what is going to happen next? At least it makes me feel somewhat more peaceful inside, realizing that there are beings who have watched over this planet.
Well, they're doing a shit job, frankly.
Has existed in this universe.
I'm disappointed in them.
They seem to actually care about what happens in our evolutionary tract.
Not enough.
But there is always hanging this issue of free will. And how much interference will be done or not done. And is free will a huge test? Is it just...
Linda, I like you, but can you truly look at humanity and say you're not disappointed in the job that the Nordics have been doing in terms of helping us?
To this planet, or is it a test throughout this universe? So, on that score, Ian, I'm going to transition to you for questions
we are
and
going to cut this
and tell
off.
Everybody that I'm beginning to think that the teleprompter and I are met for different universes, and I'm going to continue from now on with my script.
Thank you, Linda.
All right. Well, that's where we're going to cut it off, because whenever she starts going to Ian, they read like comments and like I'm sure there's some gems in there, but I can't do it. So anyway, that was fun. Cool. I think I'm going to start trying to catch these lives that Linda does. There are a lot of rebroadcasts. I probably think she does like one or fewer real live episodes a month. But it's a good way to get through her stuff, and I enjoy them, and they're not like super long if you don't listen to the ridiculous comments. So anyway, this was great. for, a Linda Moulton Howe live on this channel. And yeah, I'll see you all soon. Bye.